Hi guys! First of all, I have watched all of your videos. I think I have managed to find techniques in the Ellery book that nobody covered. I kind of agree with Melissa here. These are not my favorite. They are just 5 that were not user ready. I could see everyone but Elise, so I may have some overlap with Elise, but for some reason your link didn't work when I looked at it. So I have 5 I'm going to go over. My 5 strategies I picked from the Ellery book are highlighting the highs, frame this, body blending, express yourself, and wide reading. So to start with my first strategy, highlighting the highs, it's on page 275. Grade levels anywhere pretty much from kindergarten to 12, depending on how you modify the activity. This is a comprehension activity that focuses on determining purpose. And the purpose here is to identify important information in text. First, you'll model highlighting selective information in a text. So we're going to show students that we're going to focus on key ideas and new vocabulary, things that surprised us while we read. Some tips here to give them would be to highlight key ideas and phrases instead of using entire sentences. If they're hung up on that, you could also give them sticky notes. It will keep the whole page from being highlighted at first. That way they can go back, take out some of those ideas that they decide aren't important while they go. So after you model that, you give students those same tips, remind them what you just went over. Some tips to give them are to preview the passage, pay attention to the key features, and to try to answer this question, what message is the author trying to give us in the passage we just read? Then students will highlight the information within pairs or groups, remind them again that we're only doing the important words or key phrases. Clear it all the way into my classes in high school right now. I see students that still have problems with this. I can ask them to outline a page and they're going to give me 3 pages of information when the real key ideas probably could have fit into half a page. So make sure you're reminding them of that, and let them know that when they finish working, they're actually going to explain their reasoning and explain why they highlighted certain words and phrases. And then once students have completed that work and then presented to either partners, the group, or the class, depending on how you want to carry out that activity, you'll then have students reread their text, reflect on their highlighting, and how what they highlighted helped them understand the passage. Differentiation, again, I like the sticky notes idea, or using those little posted flags to mark what's important. Then they can go back and rearrange them in the pages to get a better idea and get rid of the ones that they decide are not important. Second strategy was frame this. Again, that one can be modified anywhere K-12. It is another comprehension strategy. This one focuses on visualizing. Purpose here is to come up with the image of a story, so it can help students come up with a physical description of story details. Materials here would be a text and a picture frame, and then online they can use the website Photobabble. So you are going to show students, to begin with, the picture frame, explain what a picture frame does. You know, it captures the story of that picture. And then what we're going to do then is have students do the same thing with their words. Use a volunteer and frame that volunteer. Have the volunteer hold the frame in front of their face, and a second one is going to describe what they see in that story. What picture are they seeing? So the volunteer within the frame can then make funny faces or do whatever they want to within that, and the class is going to explain what the volunteer is doing, how it's telling that story. Continue using the frame within small groups, and then have them read the story, pass the frame around the group to talk about key vocabulary concepts, and then discuss those key terms. And then students will then record their favorite image from their favorite scene of whatever they've been reading. So this way they can convey meaning and find meaning within those words within the text they've been reading. Again, the website used on that one was Photobabble, but it's an F, not a PH, so F-O-T-O, Babble, B-A-B-B-L-E.com. Third strategy is body blending. This one is mostly for primary students, but it can be adapted if you have some intermediate students that are struggling too. The purpose here is so students can hear the sounds within a word and act out blending those phonemes to frame the word. So you can start with putting a hula hoop on the ground for every phoneme represented in a word. So met, M-E-T would have 3 hula hoops. Say each sound individually and step into each one of those hoops. So then have students on cards segment words into those sounds or syllables. Pick volunteers to represent the number, and they're going to become that phoneme or syllable in that word. So then they step in the hoop and say their sound. While the students say the sound, they link their arms together and then orally blend it to make that word. So once they link together, they form the word completely. Then in small groups, they can do the same thing, or you can use cards if you don't have enough hula hoops or circles. I have even seen pool noodles. You just tape it together with duct tape to make circles, and then they can step in those. Pool noodles are usually like $1 when they go on clearance at the end of the season. So they do the same thing. They can blend their words out together to create words, and then have students individually pick words from their independent reading or their writing to segment and do the same thing. Only on their paper or in their journals, they're going to actually draw the circles for the hula hoops to make the word. My next activity is expressing. It's grades 1 through 5. It's called Express Yourself. Point here is to demonstrate voice and body language in order to provide expression when you're reading. So here you will have note cards that have almost like emojis on them with emotions on them. Create statements on a different set of cards. So you're going to use an emotion card and a statement card. Don't show them to the kids, just hold on to them, and model the statement while conveying the emotion. So, and then you reveal the emotion to the class. So what you're going to say, I may have an emotion card that has a sad face, and my words are going to mimic that same thing. And then after I do that, I can flip them over and show the kids. Then as a group, every student will pick an emotion card and a statement card. So the job then is for them to read the card using that emotion. And then the other group members are going to respond with what emotion they must have had. Then students can work in pairs, completing the same activity. And then individually, you could do this in the center as the by you activity. My next one is wide reading. It's for grades approximately up to 3rd grade, and it is to identify similarities and differences in vocabulary words within a genre. So the first thing you have to do is explain to the kids what a genre is. And then during the study, they're going to have a chart of vocabulary words that correlate with that genre and give them a list of characteristic traits of that genre. Then students are going to discuss the similarities and differences among those vocabulary words when they're looking and comparing the charts, and talk about how the format may be different within the genre. And then as the by you activity, they will then create a list within their journal that's a log of different genres and book titles they read. So those are the 5 strategies that I chose out of the Ellery book, 5 of the strategies that were not already taken by everybody else in the group. I liked them, and I tried to pick ones that I have not used before. I tried to pick ones that were more applicable to younger students just because I'm not familiar with those. But I do think they could all be useful to us if we modified them in some way. We could all use them in our classroom somehow. Thanks for watching.